Welcome everybody to the College Station Super Regional. Welcome Coach Waz and his Oregon Ducks. Excited to get a chance to play. I think it's the first time I've coached against Oregon, and sure we'll have a great weekend of crowds, and we're ready to play. It's been a long time sitting around waiting.
Start back row on the left.
Coach Eric Kelly from KWKT. In terms of, we talked last week about the regional and how it's a little bit different in the way you manage this, knowing max you'll have 3 games. Do you manage it like a regular weekend, or is it still postseason different, everything that goes into that?
Yeah, it's closer to a regular weekend, but there's no saving a pitcher for Tuesday, or you're trying to get two wins as fast as you can, and if you have a chance to win a game, then you got to go pretty much all out, I guess within reason, to do that. So certainly if you were to lose the first one, then all hands on deck to try and stay alive. But it's closer to a regular season feel, but it's not, similar but different, I guess you'd say.
Now front, Travis.
Yeah, for both Coach and Braden. Coach, usually it's the regional round that you talk about guys knowing guys and having recruiting guys because everything's usually in the same region. But with how many West Coast guys y'all have success this year, what have those guys done for the team, and having been recruited by Oregon and things like that, and also for Braden, just kind of the West Coast vibe this team has with some of those guys, and going against the Pac-12 team.
You mean the West Coast guys that are on our team?
Yes.
Yeah. I think when you look across a lot of the rosters in the state of Texas, there's a lot of kids from California, because the guys that don't want to stay in state, maybe want to get away from home. There's not a whole lot between here and there, right? Grand Canyon's an awesome option. The Arizona schools are good options, but there's a lot of players in California, whether it be in the transfer portal or high school players like Gavin that want to play in the SEC. So, I was talking to somebody yesterday about, I think, the fact that we start 4 players from California. Gavin, Ali, Teddy, Schott, and then Braden transferred from Stanford. So, but in terms of us, I don't know anything about, other than what I've seen. I don't know any of their players personally. Braden, I'm sure, probably does.
Yeah, it's cool to play a familiar team. I've been playing them for a couple years. Never had the chance to win a lot against them, so I think it's just cool to get another opportunity to play against them. And yeah, just see some more familiar West Coast baseball.
Front left, Rob.
So, Braden, what can you tell us? What do you say the biggest difference is between Pac-12 baseball and SEC baseball?
I don't know. I feel like the biggest difference I see is the depth in the teams that we've played against. I feel like once we would have gotten to some of the pitching staffs or even some of the teams last year in the Pac-12, there's just a bigger difference from the top and the bottom, whereas like they like to say it's a gauntlet in the SEC, and so every team can truly have a chance to beat any other team. And not to say that it's not like that in the Pac-12, it's just different layers to it, I guess.
Make no mistake, Oregon is a club that is in the upper echelon and has been of the Pac-12, which therefore makes them a club like Braden's Stanford team last year. His team last year could have won an SEC title, and Oregon's certainly capable of that.
Yeah, for sure.
In the back middle, Tyler.
Yeah, for Coach and then both players, just how much of an, and I know we've talked about this already, but just, the 12th man, being able to play postseason at home and then having another, one last weekend before Omaha, being able to do that at home, how much of a factor does that play into a series like this?
Yeah, huge factor. Yeah, huge. To say that it's not is would be a false statement. It's a huge opportunity to sleep in your own bed, stay in routine, you have your own locker, and then obviously the fans. The 12th man is just incredible. I think if you ask, I feel it as a coach. I can't imagine what it feels like as a player to know you have all of that going behind you when you're playing the game. And so we need everybody to hydrate. We can't. We got to have great energy, as if it's a 6 p.m. game with 78 degrees and sunny. So everybody's got to get their mind right, including the players, because we got to bring that juice from the first pitch to the last pitch.
Ryan and Braden, just how much does that help playing with the 12th man?
Yeah, I think it's unbelievable. We've seen not only what they did last week, but what they've done all year and what they tend to do year in, year out. And I think it just shows how much this place cares and what it means to. It obviously means a lot to us, but there's other people that care, and it means something to our fans and the university, and we're just super grateful to have them at our back and know that they have an impact in what goes on.
Yeah, I'm just glad that we got the opportunity to play postseason baseball at Olson. It's like no other, and I'm excited to see what the 12th man had in store for us this weekend.
Staying on the back, Donna.
Sorry. Coach, after Sunday's win and just the offense really seemed to come alive Sunday night, how much confidence does that give you rolling into this weekend?
A lot, I mean, I think a confident player is a scary player, right? And a lot of times, I have more confidence in these guys sometimes than they have in themselves because they call it an average for a reason. And if Braden doesn't get a hit on the first time, that just means he's way more due to get a hit the second time, And I'm just super excited to see these guys go. And I think, although we're seeing something a little different right now with the Florida State game, scoring 7 runs in a super regional is like scoring 15 in a regular season. You get everybody's best pitcher. And going back to the early question about, how do you pitch in the region? Well, if you get down by a couple runs, like you're not going to bring in a guy 8, 9, 10 down the line. You're going to bring in one of your best pitchers to keep it close because you only have 2 shots at this deal to advance. So you're seeing everybody's best pitching, every situation. They're all locked in. Every now and then you'll see something like happened today at Florida State. The first time we went to Omaha at TCU, we lost the middle game 14-1, but won the next game. So yeah, I have full confidence in our offense, but we're facing a really good team, and so are they.
All right, Ben.
Coach, kind of going off Tyler's question, if my research serves me correct, 4 super regionals here, and your TCU team was the only one that's come out with a win, a visiting team. What's kind of some things that you think are crucial for a team coming into this kind of environment to have success, and what can you guys as a team do to play to the benefit of the home field advantage, and I guess from what you can control, make the most of it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, there's I've been on teams where, especially the first time you host, like there's some pressure in that too, right? So it's just like any game. The first team to get to neutral, right? You're going to deal with 2 things in every game, especially games like this: adrenaline and adversity. Is 100% happening, 100%. We're going to hit a liner with the bases loaded, and it's going to get caught. Dang it, Or we're going to make a good pitch like Prager did to, I think it was Schlossnagle at Texas, and it was down. Jappel almost had to block it, and he got it up in the wind, and it was a home run, right? So you're going to have to deal with that. And so I think the team that, we spend way more time, effort, and money in the mental game than any program in the country. Actually, Oregon is pretty close. They do a good job of it too. They work with the same guy we work with. So that mental game of just trying to get in routine, win pitches. There is no such thing as stepping up. You revert to your training. You just do what you do. It's, the practices we've had this week, we just do what we do and go home. There's no big meeting. There's no Lombardi speech. It's you go play good baseball.
Coach, it's the swan song, so to speak, for the Pac-12, and it's sort of the song sport here. And I know over the years you played a lot of Pac-12 teams, and that league's had a lot of success. So is there anything specific that made that league successful, or was there a style of Pac-12, do you believe, when they were in their heyday?
I mean, in their heyday, you had some of the greatest coaches in the history of our sport. Rod Dato and Mark Marquis and the coaches at ASU and Arizona, Gary Adams at UCLA, John Savage, like just elite baseball, because that's where all the good weather was, and that's where they had, back in the days before scholarship limitations, Coach Dato had a lot of scholarships he was working with. This is long before most of anybody in this room was born, but yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I get it, but it's sad because there's a lot of great players out there that I'm sure would like to play close to their home, and whether it be, they're going to maybe still go to UCLA and SC, but they're going to have to travel a long ways. So for a sport like baseball, I hate it because I like having I like the sport growing across the country and not being centralized in one part of the country.
Travis, and then finish up.
Yeah, Braden. what have you seen from Gavin so far this year, and especially as a freshman, what he's been able to do so far this year?
Yeah, I've seen him be super mature. I mean, it's really cool when you see guys that are freshmen that play like they're not freshmen. He's approached the game in a really mature way, in every facet, in his training, in his recovery, and just all the decisions he makes. And so I think that just kind of speaks to his parents and everything that he's done leading up to this point. And so I don't see him stopping anytime soon, and I'm really impressed with what I've seen.
A question for Ryan. Oregon's closing in on a home run record. What is the challenges from a staff standpoint that creates?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes back to being us. I mean, we've faced teams that can do it all, especially from the power standpoint. Being in this league, there's a lot of teams that'll go and try to just outslug you and try to just take their chance on hitting their homer. So we've experienced teams that do that, and nothing changes. We still have to go execute pitches and do our thing. And if we do that, the numbers say that it'll be in our favor. So I think a lot of it comes back to just not trying to change, not trying to reinvent the wheel just because it's this time of year and people say that this is a more meaningful weekend. We just stay true to who we are and what we've done all year.